What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red Gold Standard Podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez. It looks like I just lost him. I am joined by Mike Andrews today. He'll probably hop back in right about now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a good show planned for you. There he is, Mr. Mike. How you doing?
What's going on? I'm sorry. I backed out like at the last second, but I'm here. I'm ready to rock, man. How you doing, man? I miss you guys, man.
I know. Same here, man. Doing good. Can't complain. It's a slow time of the NFL off season, but that's all right. We got plenty to talk about. Always thrilled to have you on, Mike. Appreciate you taking the time. Guys, while you're here, if you're tuning in on Twitter, head over to our YouTube, youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there. We cannot see or interact with any of your comments you're posting from Twitter. We're not ignoring you. We just can't see them. So head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join there and hit like and subscribe while you're there. Support the channel. All right, let's get right into this. It's kind of been a pretty crazy time as far as slow news, let me put it that way, because it came out, obviously, that Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the team. That's no surprise to anybody at this point. But there was a rumor last week, or report, I should say, Mike, that Trey Lance has been kind of reassured behind the scenes that he has the job moving forward, regardless of what happens with Jimmy Garoppolo. A, do you buy this? And so let me rephrase it. Do you buy they told him this? And B, do you buy it at all?
Yeah, so it's crazy. I was going to ask you, is it possible to think that a story is completely true and completely BS at the same time? Because I do think that those words were mentioned behind the scenes. I don't think that the team, the players involved, the organization mentioned that to anybody outside of that room or that conversation. The 49ers don't let anything get out of this building. Anything. You know what I'm saying? Joe Staley knew the day they lost the Super Bowl that he was going to retire, right? John Lynch and Kyle said, hey, do us a favor. You can retire. Just please don't mention it yet. Let us see what we can figure out about getting a replacement for you. And he kept that under wraps. He didn't tell anybody about that. No one let that word get out. And that allowed them to do a trade for Trent Williams with a third and a fifth round. Imagine if people knew that Joe Staley had already retired, right? Imagine what the asking price from Washington would have been. Washington don't even like Kyle Shanahan like that. You know what I'm saying? Imagine what the asking price would have been. I'm saying all that to say this team doesn't let the obvious stuff get out. There's no need for them to tell Trey Lance something behind the scenes and tell media to say, we told Trey Lance X, Y, and Z. However, I do believe that the team talked to Trey Lance and said, hey, we're trying to move this guy. There's no market for him. He can't work out during OTAs and team activities, so you don't have to worry about it. You're the guy going forward. Don't sweat it. So okay. I think the word is true. I think that the story itself is BS.
I like that. And to add to that too, because you kind of mentioned the fact that they kind of use the media to their advantage, which they should, but they don't deny anything they don't need to deny, or that doesn't benefit them to deny. But we did see also within the last week or two, the report come out that they were meeting with DeShaun Watson, and almost instantaneously that was shot down. Did that kind of make your eyebrows go up a little bit? Because one, if it's not true, why shoot it down? Do you think there is an actual benefit to shooting that specific rumor down? Because maybe it shows that you're not confident in a guy like Trey Lance?
No, I think that the 49ers have been tied to every Tom, Dick, Harry that's been available at the quarterback position for the last 3 seasons. I've never seen a team leave a Super Bowl appearance and then say, we need a new quarterback, except for those 2000 Ravens where they did it with Trent Dilfer, right? That's the only team in NFL history I've ever seen do that before. And all of a sudden, as soon as the Niners lose that Super Bowl, we're on the market to Tom Brady. Like, that was the biggest story that offseason, right? It's Tom Brady, but they can't get out of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, so they're stuck with him, right? It's, it's been the thing. We've been tied to guys like Andy Dalton. I'm not even talking, like, DeShaun Watson is way up here, right? We've been tied to guys like Andy Dalton, Sam Darnold. You know what I'm saying? Like, the list goes on and on and on. Every name out there. Listen, guys, here's how I knew that the story was BS. Well, the story that I saw, this is how I knew it was BS. The Niners are in talks to trade for DeShaun Watson. With what? Don't even tell me like, oh, the source said or who the source. I don't care about it. With what? Hey, you guys want a 3rd round pick for him? I'm sure that's the best offer you guys have got for DeShaun Watson. We got a 3rd round pick for you right here. Like, it didn't make sense for the story to make sense. Even if you include Trey Lance, right? The Texans don't have Trey Lance valued as 3 first-round picks. However, the Niners have him valued as that because that's what they spent on him. They spent 2 trading up and the actual pick itself in the first round. So to the Niners, he's worth 3 first-round picks. That's not the valuation that the Texans have on Trey Lance. And so I never thought that story was true. They're not going to do a 1-for-1. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't make any sense. I don't think that story was true at all. It was just something to, put the name out there, another team involved in the mix to boost the asking price by another pick or 2. And you see what it warranted. It worked. It worked.
Yeah, it really did. And I was kind of surprised by the whole story because obviously we know last season prior to, 1, trading up for Trey Lance, and 2, all of these allegations came out about DeShaun Watson. Of course they were tied to DeShaun Watson. They were likely the front runner for DeShaun Watson. But when everything came out, they quickly kind of changed their tune, reevaluated their plan, and decided we're probably safer off going with the rookie in Trey Lance. But yeah, I agree with you there. That was kind of one of the cases where it was a little beneficial for them to come out and deny it almost immediately, whereas they normally don't do that. I haven't had a chance to talk with you, Mike. It feels like since the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Are you surprised that Jimmy Garoppolo has not been moved? And I know the fans are tired of hearing about this, so we won't stay on it for long, but it seemed like everybody was already okay, it was an afterthought that the 49ers would be able to trade him. Are you shocked that it's, March 27th and he's still on the roster?
Yes and no. The yes is from the fan side and the personal desire side. I'm shocked that he's still on the team. Personally, and as a fan, I want the cap space. I want to move on from this guy. We've already drafted his replacement. He knew it last season. He wrote it out with us, right? Like, we're here. We know Trey Lance is the future. It's not a question. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it comes to that, right? But if you step back and you take the fandom out of it and you look at it from a logical perspective, right? During the season, we were told that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to need a surgery on his thumb, right? And they said that thumb was going to take 6 to 12 weeks to recover, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He played through it. He's going to opt for the surgery at the end of the season, right? Fast forward to the end of the season. 99% of players have vacations planned for as soon as the season ends. I'm going to opt out of the Pro Bowl because I got this trip to Cabo booked, or I'm going to Tulum, or I'm going to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have all these things booked and ready because we're not going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go to the Pro Bowl. I'm going on vacation. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I have this surgery pending. Now, the 49ers thought it was going to be a thumb. It ended up being some capsule on the shoulder instead. But either way, the recovery time was still 12 to 14 weeks. Whichever one it was, 12 to 14 weeks, right? I'm not going on vacation with my arm in a sling or my hand in a cast. So your surgery plans for me are going to have to wait until I'm done with my vacation. That's the logical perspective in this whole thing, right? So again, personally, yes, I want him gone. I'm surprised he's still here. But from a logical standpoint, that surgery is going to make a couple of people apprehensive. And if the 49er fans, see, the thing, good or bad, about this fan base is that everybody is a content creator in this fan base. Everybody is. There's no 49er fans. We are all content creators, whether you're on Spaces, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. You type in 49ers and there is someone bringing you content there. And everyone has an opinion. No one's listening anymore. Everyone forms their own opinion. The majority of the opinions is that Jimmy Garoppolo was trash. Yeah. We should have moved on from him a long time ago. Jimmy Garoppolo was the reason we're not in the Super. Jimmy Garoppolo was the reason. All the negative stuff is due to Jimmy Garoppolo from the 49ers content creators' perspective. It's very, very few of them that say he's the reason why we got this far. Very few. My point with that is, if you're the outside looking in, and this is what you see from the people closest to the situation, all of a sudden, Jimmy Garoppolo's value goes from here down to here. And it's forcing the outside world to devalue the trade value of Jimmy Garoppolo, plus the injury, you know what I mean, plus the stats. The win-loss record is his biggest selling feature. The stats don't say give up a second or a first for him. You know what I'm saying? The availability and the injury history doesn't say give up a second or a first for him. The only thing that says that are the win-loss columns. That's it. That is the only thing that says give up a first or a second round pick for him. And then when you go and you dig a little deeper, everybody that follows this guy under a microscope says he's a bum. He's the reason the Niners aren't going anywhere. So from a logical perspective, no, I'm not surprised he's still here. We've diminished this guy's value so much publicly that everybody knows he's no good. Why would I trade for him? I saw 49ers fans saying we should get Baker Mayfield. We should get Sam Darnold. I was one of the Sam Darnold guys, by the way. We should get Sam Darnold. We should get Andy Dalton. Andy fucking Dalton? Andy Dalton? Are you kidding me? Andy Dalton? Like, come on, bro. There are 49er fans right now at this very moment that think Davis Mills is a better NFL quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a problem. That's a problem. And if we believe that, how do we expect an outside team to say otherwise? And Davis Mills is not worth a first or a second round pick.
With that said, yes, I agree with that. Yeah, man, it's been a really tough a couple of months, we put it that way, because I think a lot of 49ers fans got kind of a hard awakening when it comes to what Jimmy Garoppolo is as a player, valuably speaking, as far as putting it into actual picks and assets and players. What can you get in return for Jimmy Garoppolo? I think there were a lot of fans that thought, hey, I can probably get a lot more. And it turns out, no. And not only that, but the writing's on the wall. Every one of these QB needy teams, I guarantee, are thinking, why should I give up whatever they're asking for when he's not going to be on this roster come August? I can just sign him. Obviously they have to hope he comes to them, and that's where the little bit of a benefit is in trading for him. But then you still got to rework a contract or sign him to a then long-term deal. So how much of a benefit really is there? And I kind of tweeted this, I think it was last week, half jokingly. It might have been a little longer than a week ago, but NFL Network, Mike, we aired the 49ers Bengals game, right?
Yeah.
I get home for 20 minutes in between going to the grocery store, and we were going to Cheesecake, I think, right? Changing my pants. I look up on the TV, and it's the part where one of the parts where Jimmy is just being an idiot, and he spins around, fumbles the ball without even anybody touching him.
No one touched him.
No one touched him. Yeah, exactly. You did it yourself. And then he falls on it. And I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. That's a good tweet. And I grab my phone and I record and I say, why wouldn't anybody trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Obviously joking, but the pro Jimmy crowd, I think, is louder than just about any other fan base in the NFL. And I'm fully convinced that they are Jimmy Garoppolo fans and not 49ers fans. But saying all of this, my question to you is, there's technically two I have here for you. One, is Jimmy Garoppolo the only player that you can remember that is above even the slightest bit of criticism? And two, does that kind of I don't want to say vulnerability, but like protection, I guess I should call it, extend when he is no longer on the 49ers? Do you think the same people that go to bat for him, ride or die for him right now, will offer him the same protection and excuses if he's on, say, the Panthers, the Texans, whatever other team here?
Yeah, so there's a large populace that think that not only is Jimmy going to still be on this team, he's still going to be the starter. There's this theory going around on Twitter that the reason the Niners haven't moved on from him is because they don't have faith in Lance. And that's that boisterous minority. You have like the silent majority. They're the boisterous, they're the loud minority out there. It's the same people that were killing you about what you saw and what you posted. I thought the pro Colin Kaepernick as a quarterback crowd was the loudest. I'm wrong. It's the pro Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback, right? I was called an Uncle Tom for saying that Colin Kaepernick wasn't a good quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I had personal threats coming in because I said I was over the Colin Kaepernick experiment. Like, as a quarterback, I was done with it. They tried to make him this pocket passer his last season here, and it was just he literally got benched for Blaine Gabbert. And I was like, guys, I don't know what else you need to see for this to, like, open your eyes. Like, we are on the worst team in the entire NFL, and he got benched. Do you know, like, our leading rusher was Sean Drone that season? You understand what? Jeremy Curley was our number one wide receiver, and he was a slot guy.
I won't
Like,
tolerate any Jeremy Curley disrespect, by the
no,
way.
no, no. I like Jeremy Curley, right? Like, he was that guy that year on a really, really shitty team, though, is my point.
Yep.
The slot guy is never the number one wide receiver. That's just not how it works, right? That's the team that Colin Kaepernick got benched on, is my point, right? And so I thought the Colin Kaepernick thing, like, wow, man, like this is as bad as it's ever going to get. Like, this is crazy. Until I met the Jimmy Garoppolo fan base. That fan base loves this guy's chin and jawline so damn much that they will shoot you in the face if given the opportunity for slandering their quarterback. I've never experienced anything. I have literally heard people talk about, here's my address, pull up. I have literally heard that on Twitter Spaces for 49er fans over Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't. Jimmy doesn't care about the 49ers as much as they do. I've never seen anything like it. So that part of the fan base is the loudest. So to answer your first question, that's the loudest I've ever heard a fan base, like his fan base. I will say this though, with all of the Colin Kaepernick hate that I got, and I try to differentiate. I approve his message. I support what he's standing for or kneeling for. I'm with him 100% on those things. As a man, I'm in Colin Kaepernick corner. As a football player, get him off my team, right? I tried to be as clear as possible, right? As soon as he was off the team and out of the NFL, I would say some of the hate stopped. Half of the hate stopped. The difference is Colin left the whole league. Garoppolo is probably going to go somewhere else. So I don't think that much of the fan base or his fan base quiets down. Where you had 50% of Caps fans quiet down, you might still have to deal with 75% of Jimmy fans, because every time Jimmy wins a game, they're going to say, oh, well, look at what Jimmy did this week and look at what Trey did this week. Jimmy threw for 3 touchdowns, Trey threw for 2. You're going to say, yeah, but he ran for 2 also, so there's 4. Oh, well, we're talking about the quarterback position. Oh, what did he do with his arm? You know, like, that's what's going to end up coming out as it goes on. So I think we're going to have to deal with the Jimmy stands just a little bit longer than we had to deal with the Colin Kaepernick stance.
That's unfortunate. I was hoping we'd at least get away from it, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I agree with you. It's like they're going to be forever compared to one another, and it's honestly not fair to either, because if everything pans out right, Jimmy is obviously going to be the lesser of the two. But immediately to start out, Trey Lance likely isn't going to be as capable as Jimmy Garoppolo, as far as maybe protecting the ball. NFL ready, I guess, is kind of the phrase that is kind of used for what I'm talking about. So I agree with you. It is unfortunate and it's out of both of their control, but it's insane. I really do not understand what type of control this man has over the fan base, because he could do nothing wrong. The fans protect him to the death of them.
Bro, there was someone posted about, sorry to cut you off.
No,
they
go ahead.
Posted about the six completion game in the playoffs against the Packers, 6 of 8, right? And they said, look at how high the efficiency was. I'm like, bitch, what? Is that what you're hanging your hat on? The completion percentage? He completed 6. I know quarterbacks who missed that many passes in a quarter. Is that what you're hanging your hat on? Like, seriously? And so it's just so weird how people choose to look at things. Like, if you go, here's like the biggest determining factor for me. If you go back throughout Kyle Shanahan's entire tenure here as a head coach and play caller for the 49ers, and you look at any game that the 49ers scored 30 or more points, any game with 31 plus points. If you think about that Panthers game that we scored 50 plus in, right? You look at that Packers game where we blew them out in the postseason. How many of those games did Jimmy Garoppolo throw three touchdown passes in? I'm not going to answer the question for you guys. I'm going to challenge you all to go out there and look at any score, 31 or more, and see how many times he threw for 2 touchdowns or more. I'm not going to answer the question for you. I've done this already, okay? So when you see the Niners blowing people out, I'm going to give you a little hint. It's on the legs of the running backs, and it's on the defensive scoring. I'm just going to give you that hint. Go out there and take a look at it. There has not been a single blowout in 40 or a high-scoring game in Kyle Shanahan's tenure as the 49ers head coach and play caller with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. That he was responsible for the total of points. It just didn't happen. You have to have the defense scoring, and you have to have the running backs going crazy. Yeah. Just look it up. Don't argue with me. Just look it up. You'll see what I'm saying. 2 touchdowns is only worth 14 points, assuming they get the extra points.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. And also, speaking of what you talked about, that Packers game this postseason, I had people telling me too, like, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't light it up. Aaron Rodgers was, dealing with the same effects, and he had, he didn't have a great game either. I saw Aaron Rodgers launching the ball down the field with ease. It's just he chose not to. He was not physically incapable of doing so. He just didn't feel like he was able to. I guess if I'm explaining that correctly.
Well, not only that, Aaron Rodgers was going up against the number 1 defense in the postseason. Jimmy Garoppolo was not. The fact of the matter is, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't score a single touchdown. The offense, don't even put it on Jimmy. The Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense didn't score a single touchdown against the Packers in this postseason. We had 10-point swing come directly from the hands of the special teams unit. The block field goal, that's -3. Right? And then the touchdown, that's 7 points. That's 10 points of value right there. And now do the math on what we won that game by. Thank the special teams. Yep. Don't thank Jimmy Garoppolo for anything that he did in that entire game. The special teams were the sole reason that we won that postseason game. Had it not been for Jordan Willis, who we just re-signed, by the way, let's go J-Dub, right? If it had not been for him, we lose that game. It's not if that is a fact. That's a cold, hard fact. So that's all I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers had to go against the number 1 defense. The Packers defense was ranked. What we all ranked? You remember? I got a Packers fan sitting right here.
Pretty low.
But they weren't that good. They had the worst special teams left in the postseason, and they had one of the worst defenses left in the postseason. So don't sit here and say, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't light it up either. Aaron Rodgers wasn't going up against the best defense in the postseason. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't going up against the best defense in the postseason. So, it is what it is, man. But we can't sit there and say, oh, what did he do versus him? They play against different sides of the ball. That's not fair. You can't do that.
I hear you. It was really tough. Fernando, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, Mike, if it wasn't for the special teams, 49ers would have been out. It would have been out, which is hilarious because they were kind of the Achilles heel all year. It just so happened that the Packers special teams were even worse. I think you're muted.
No, you're absolutely right, man. You're 100% like that. Yeah. Like we had the 24th or 26th ranked special teams, and the Packers had the 28th ranked special teams. And we were just marginally better than them, and that marginally better resulted in 10 points. That was enough for us to win that game. So I don't know, man. I can't credit the offense at all. And by the way, I want to make it clear here. If you guys watch Nothing But Niners, I have made it abundantly clear. The biggest disappointment of the 3 phases was the offense, because the offense is the side that you have expectations for. Kyle sold us all offseason that Jimmy's the guy. It's not Lance. When everybody was ready to move on, everyone wanted to say, hey, we know what we got. I'd rather risk it all with this guy and get him experience than to stick with this guy. Kyle was right. We did get to an NFC championship game, but it wasn't on the back of the offense. The offense was easily the biggest disappointment. Doesn't mean that they were the worst. They were the biggest disappointment. See, disappointments means you have expectations. I expect you guys to do this. You only did this, right? But the defense was so bad. I mean, the special teams were so bad, they were way down here. The defense was up here, right? So the worst was the special teams. The offense was here, but I expected them to be here. The defense was up here. I was most disappointed because of my expectations in the offense. And I blame Kyle for a large part of that. So I'm not just coming down on Jimmy. I blame Kyle Shanahan for a lot of the offensive woes. You chose to stick it out with this quarterback. You traded up all this capital for this guy. And when you saw him look really, really good in the second half of the Houston game, every time that kid came on the field, he looked better and better and better and better. Yep. Every single time he came on the field. And he started terrible. He looked like a rookie the first time he came out there against Seattle. He looked like a rookie that whole game against Arizona. He even looked like a rookie the first quarter and a half against Houston. Because that second half, you could see him shaking that shit off. Looked like he was ready, right? And I'm like, yeah, this is where we're going the rest of the year. Like, let's go. Let's do this. people forget Houston had just come off of putting 30-plus points up in 2 consecutive games. I'm like, we're going to get into a shootout here. The defense came ready to play. The offense, a little shaky at the beginning, but they really picked up well. I'm like, let's ride this all the way through. Whatever happens. Kyle said, no, we're going to go back to Jimmy. And that limited-ass Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense is what Kyle chose to put out there. The blame goes to Kyle also. So let me be very, very clear. I am not anti-Jimmy. I am anti what that offense production was last year.
I like that. Very well said. Fernando has a question. He says, hey, Zach, please, if you don't mind. Why did Kittle say Jimmy took us to the Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games? What a joke. That pisses me off. Kittle knows Jimmy sucks. Why do you think this is, Mike? Why do you think players like George Kittle come out to bat so heavily for Jimmy Garoppolo when they have to see he kind of hinders the offense, right?
Yeah. Kittle didn't lie. Didn't lie. Who was the quarterback that got you guys through the postseason? It was Jimmy both seasons. He didn't lie at all. Zach, if I pay you, regardless of what you think of me, and you are officially on record saying something about me, are you gonna dump on me? Your check is dependent on me. Are you gonna dump on me when you are officially on the record? Probably not, right? Because you don't want me to fire you. You don't want me to lower your pay, whatever, right? Not that Jimmy controls the pay, but if George Kittle has incentives, right? You also don't want to go to the podium and be like, yeah, man, Kyle said he really likes Jimmy, and Jimmy's going to be the quarterback, man. Let me tell you, this guy is trash. I can't wait for him to get out of here. But he's my quarterback next game, so, we'll see what happens. Shit. You have never seen, and you will never see a quarterback being dumped on until he is no longer the official starter. It's never going to happen. You can rewind. Listen to the Believe in 49ers podcast with Eric Davis and Rashawn Haylock, right? Eric Davis was there on the roster during the Joe Montana, Steve Young switch. He was on the roster when that happened. And they said it's not an open competition because Joe Montana is probably going to outduel this kid who has to go through it. However, we're going to give the other kid the chance. It's not a competition. The locker room was told this in the meeting, according to Eric Davis. This is how it's going to be. Not what you want, not what you want. We're not polling anybody. We're telling you what is. And when they spoke about it at the podium, it was positivity for whoever was under center, regardless of personal feelings. You can't go up there and trash the person who's in for someone who's not in. You just can't do it. It doesn't look good, and that's media training. That's what it is. So George Kittle is always going to big up Jimmy Garoppolo. Even after Jimmy's gone, he's going to say, hey, well, he still did X, Y, and Z for us. But right now, I'm with Trey. And I have heard George Kittle this offseason say, whoever's my quarterback is the guy I'm behind. Like, I'm ready to play. We got to put up points no matter who's back there. Yeah. I've heard him say that this offseason. So it's not about loving Jimmy. It's just about supporting the team. And that's what you want from anybody on the roster. That's what you should expect.
Yeah, really well said. Also, just to add on to that, you got to kind of play these psychological games and kind of, up your guy that's under center. And if you're out here in the media saying, I don't really think you can get the job done, then when it's crunch time and you're telling him, dude, you can do this, you got this, he's probably thinking like, you just were telling everybody last week, you don't even believe in me, so why should I believe you right now? There's a lot of that goes on behind the scenes, and I agree with you. I think they need to do it.
And that's the thing. He's saying Jimmy got us here, Jimmy got us there. He never said Trey couldn't get us here, Trey couldn't get us there. He's only talking about what was. He is not saying what is, what's going to be, or what he thought. He will never speak on what he thought. If you ask him, hey, who do you think would have won this game? He'll say, hey, Jimmy was in there and we had to do the best we could do. Yeah. He's never going to answer that question straight. No player, I repeat, not a single player on the team would answer that kind of question. They're going to say Jimmy was the quarterback, or Jimmy is the quarterback. We're going to go out there and give it the best shot we got. Yeah. They're never going to badmouth him. Yeah. So that's just the way it works, guys. It's not about him being pro Jimmy at all. It's not. I remember when Colin Kaepernick got the start against it was the Steelers, Monday Night Football. It was his first start, and the week before and the week leading up to it, they interviewed Vernon Davis. They interviewed Patrick Willis about the quarterback change because Alex Smith was in concussion protocol and all that stuff. I believe he went out against the Cardinals. And I know it was a division game, either the Rams or the Cardinals. And they were saying, well, the rookie, not the rookie, the second-year guy, he's got to step in. He's going to have to play, and we'll see what happens. Even Vernon Davis was. I'm a little nervous for this week's game plan, but we're going to be well prepared. We're going to go out there, and the whole world's going to be watching. We'll see what happens. As soon as the game was over, Vernon Davis was the first player to the podium. And he says, Colin Kaepernick is the man.
He took the chains off.
Right. All of a sudden, because Cap was in there, he couldn't say that all week leading up to it. Whoever's the guy out there, we're going to have to support it. This is what we got to do. It was a PC game. We hope the rookie does well. Da-da-da-da-da. Once the gloves came off and he was at the podium and the game was over, Colin Kaepernick is the man. Big ass smile. You can see all 32 of the pearly whites. All of them. All of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's about what they can say versus what they will say. Once they can say it, they'll tell you how they feel. Just listen for it. Just listen.
Really well said. So this is the next question. So it's actually perfect timing for Shula. Oh, before we get to that, what are we drinking? What are you drinking, Mike? Sorry.
So I was drinking Cavassier straight. My buddy is here, and he's drinking with me. So he said, Mike, salute. He said, let's mix it with something. Don't keep throwing them back straight. So he put a little, Coca-Cola. He mixed a little Coke with the Cavassier. So I'm trying to be classy, drink out of a straw, slow it down. Because you don't want me on here slurring, speeching all in the camera, all crazy and shit. So, I'm slowing it down and chilling. We're watching the Kansas game in Miami and just sipping. What about you? What you got over there?
I'm boring. I have a liquid IV over here. So
liquid IV. What does that mean?
It's like a hydration little powder pack. You mix it with some water.
Oh, so it's healthy. It's good for you.
Yeah, it's just hydrating.
It's the exact opposite of what I've got over here. Okay, I got you. Okay, all right. I like that.
Little off topic, but yesterday it was my niece's 7th birthday party, and I had pizza for the first time in like 4 months. Yeah. So I got to get back on. I'm joking, of course, but
no, but that's funny because I don't know if you follow me on probably not. I don't promote my personal IG because of
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. So I've been working out. I got a personal trainer and everything now, right? And she's got me on a certain diet and everything. But she told me you don't have to avoid carbs and all that stuff. So last night, for the first time in a really long time, I got what's called a tomato pie. It's not pizza, right? It's like the tomatoes and the garlic and everything, and they put chunks of mozzarella throughout and I said light cheese, whatever kind of cheese, very, very light. So it was really just bread and salt. If I'm being completely honest. It was so good, Zach. Yesterday was my first time. It's the closest thing to pizza I've had in a long time. I couldn't do the cheese because I know the dairy messes me up really bad, but
yeah.
Oh my God, Zach, it was so good. Why is pizza so good?
It's insane. Why?
It's from the devil. I promise you. It's so good.
If you know what you need to try, and I've been having this, and we'll get back to the show after this, but it's a pizza omelet, right? So you basically make an omelet and you use that as the crust, and then you get a little bit of that pizza squeeze sauce, and then some pepperonis and a little bit of cheese. Then you just cut it. It's delicious, low carb, low calorie. Yeah, I'll send you a link. I think I found it on TikTok or something, but I'm just this is delicious.
Yeah. Send that bad boy through. I'm looking for that's what my wife and I, she's even doing the dieting and stuff like that with me, right? We get hungry in the middle of the night, it's boiled eggs. We go into bed with bad breath, stinky farts, that. That's what we're doing. I'm sorry. If you
it's the truth.
What you eat is what comes out of you, guys.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? And so we're cutting down on the fruits because of the sugars and stuff like that. Late night anyway. During the day is cool, but late night. And so when you're eating boiled eggs at 11, 12 o'clock. That's what you're gonna get. So
yep.
I'm looking for healthy alternatives, or healthier alternatives in the snacks,
Yeah, I hear you, man. All right, back to the show. Quick little nutritional break. Talking about trading Deebo. Before I ask you the actual question, I just have to show this because it just cracks me up every single time. This is exactly what I think of anytime somebody talks about trading a player. This scene from Family Guy, where they're getting offered the mystery box or a boat. And Peter Griffin goes, hold on, Lotus. A boat, but the mystery box is everything. It could even be a boat. That's exactly how I feel about when players talk about trading an elite player for draft picks who they and then want to turn around and hope turn out to be an elite player. You have the elite player already, you know, like why are you then hoping to get an elite player out of it? I understand contractual and all that stuff, but I just had to show this because this is the first thing that always comes to my mind. So with that said, Mike, a lot of people have been talking about trading Deebo Samuel, obviously with the trades of Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, their massive contracts coming out. Is there any logic behind deciding to not sign him to that monster deal and sending him for some draft picks in return?
No. I do my March Madness at midnight show. For the entire month of March, I go live at midnight exactly, East Coast time. So 9 p.m. for you West Coasters, right? And one of my buddies, every Saturday night, I go play spades and have cigars with the guys. And one of my buddies is a diehard Dolphins fan. And he said straight up, let's go. We're getting Deebo too, Mike. I'm like, chill out. You're not. We saw Aaron Rodgers all year from the start of the season say, Green Bay doesn't want me. I don't want to be here. I'm ready to go. Right? We saw this happen with a couple of other players. Russell Wilson did it for the last 2 seasons. It turns out what these guys are doing is public negotiations. That's what they're doing, right? Now, Russell bit off more than he can chew. Seattle said, all right, well, then fuck it. Get out of here. They sent his ass right to Denver. DK, you want to go with him too? All right, fine. Like, Seattle was ready for the rebuild. We're done. We lost the defense. That was our bread and butter. The offense has been meh. The offensive line, we don't invest the right. We don't know how to draft offensive line pieces. Fine. We'll move Russell. We'll move the offensive players, and we'll just start this mother from the beginning. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, talked all this trash for a season and a half about this team, only to accept $50 million to stay right the hell where he was. It's public negotiations, right? And I'm drawing a blank on all the other names that happened, but it happened for 4 other players this entire offseason. Players scrub their social media sites from the team's mentions.
It's happening with Kyler Murray right now.
Kyler Murray's another one that's currently going through it. This is all public negotiation. It's a new tactic. It's the 2022 tactic for players, agents, and team negotiations. Unfortunately, this is the way. You get the fans to make up enough uproar. If Aaron Rodgers says Green Bay doesn't want me, and 6 million Green Bay fans say, hey, you guys better figure out a way to keep him here, especially because Green Bay is owned by the fans, guess what's going to happen? Aaron Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay. You're going to lose guys like Devontae Adams because of it. You're going to lose guys like Zadarius Smith because of it. But Aaron Rodgers is going to stay because the uproar that came from the fans that he ignited warranted that. That's what happened, right? We're going to see the same thing. Unfortunately, I don't think it gets as nasty as what we saw with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that he goes out and, post pictures of cropping his body out during the national anthem and the flyover where he's supposed to be standing between Devontae Adams and I can't remember the other guy. Randall Cobb. He's supposed to be standing between those guys. He crops himself out and shit. I don't think it gets to that point. But Deebo's going to post the things like, hey, Miami, I need a realtor in Miami ASAP. You know what I'm saying? But he's posting pictures on his social media when he's out in Miami chilling out with Lil Baby and shit like that. He's doing these things as a negotiation ploy. And then as soon as you call him on it, he says, oh, I wasn't talking about the 49ers. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's another tweet that I saw from you also. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what he does. That is how negotiation happens now. You get the public on your side, make it seem like you're the victim, right? And we are going to rally behind any victim in the world. Any victim in the world, the public has your back. And as soon as the player acts like the victim, we're going to come running and then we're going to put the pressure on the team. The team's going to be like, damn, we have to extend this guy. So I don't think he's going anywhere. Here's the cool thing about it. The wide receiver market right now is crazy. It's crazy. You got a guy making $30 million a year, another guy making $27.5 million a year, another guy making $27 million. I don't know if they're going to pay Deebo that much money because that's a lot of money for a wide receiver. But we don't have to pay it this year. We don't have to pay it next year or the year after if we use these franchise tags the right way. Now, I don't think it comes down to that, but you're in no position to have to pay him now. This coming season is his contract season. He's still on the rookie contract. You have this entire season to extend him. If he doesn't like what you guys offer him, you can franchise tag him at the beginning of the following season. He'll play under that, and you work out a negotiation during that time. The Niners have 2 years to get his contract right. That's the way I look at it. So
I like that. Yeah, the whole tweet thing is hilarious because Deebo definitely is guilty of that. I mean, the man will tweet the most obvious stuff that's about, in my opinion, the 49ers. And then once the fans get outraged, like he knows they will, he immediately, you need to chill. My life's not all about football. It's just a game. It's just my job. I do other things too. And I tweeted joking, like you said, he could tweet out something as obvious as John and Kyle are crazy. I need to get my money or something like that. And then as soon as people start reacting, not even overreacting, they aren't the only John and Kyle in the world. Come on. You guys are wild. It's like,
that's not the only John and Kyle I know. I made a bet with these guys at the casino and they didn't pay me my money. Like, yeah. Like he does shit like that. It's so funny, man. But unfortunately, that's just the way of the world, man. You gotta remember how young these kids are that we're dealing with now, right? Deebo's in his first contract, but I mean, and Deebo's on the older end of the spectrum because of how old he was when he came out of college, right? He's 25, 26 years old already. Mm-hmm. Most of these kids are 23 going through this. All they know is social media. You know what I mean? Guys like us, like, if someone's saying something that we don't like on social media, we'll curse them out and then ignore them and keep it moving or just stop responding. Yeah. These guys don't know that. These kids don't know that. They're going to sit there and like dwell on what they're seeing on social media. And God forbid it picks up steam. They're going to have a meltdown. These kids, their lives are based off of the social aspect, you know? Their go play with your friends was turning on a game system and knowing who has your login or who has your screen name so you guys can play together. Where with us, it was go out and get on your bike, ride to your friend's house, go and get in some shit that you probably shouldn't be getting. We were out in the streets. We were doing things in the neighborhood, you know? Where these guys, everything is behind the screen. It's all electronic. It's all digital. So this is what we have to deal with now. This is the new form of negotiation, guys. It's only going to pick up from here. I promise. It's only going to pick up from here.
So my next question is, if they obviously do not trade him, then it comes down to paying him. And my guy, Jose Sanchez for all 49ers for Sports Illustrated, kind of broke it down. And he made, the point that he is in between a receiver and a running back, the wide back, so the 49ers have called it. And Kyle, I believe, if I remember correctly, even kind of jokingly said, like, oh, we'll see if that comes up in contract negotiations, because obviously running backs get paid a lot more than wide receivers. And I believe the highest paid running back is it Christian McCaffrey, where he's $16 million annually, and Tyreek Hill just signed the $30 million annually. Where's he going to get, Mike?
I can tell you this. Christian McCaffrey has a $43 million dead cap hit. He ain't going to get shit like that. If Parag Marathe does something like that, fire him and check what changed in his prescription, because that man is off his meds. Something's not right if Parag puts something like that in there for Deebo Samuel. Now, I will say this, man. Deebo's not the best wide receiver on the 49ers, and he is – who's left? We got Trey Sermon. We got Elijah Mitchell. We got Jermichael Hasty. And we have Jeff Wilson. He might be the best running back on the 49ers, but he's not the best running back in the league. Yeah. He's not a top 10 running back in the league. He's really good at it, right? But he's not the best. And if you're not the best wide receiver on your own team, and you're not a top 10 running back, you shouldn't expect top 10 of either one of those positions, right? If I had to come up with some kind of contract, I'd say it'd be – see, the cap is going up, and I'm an old school guy. I remember when the cap was nowhere near $200 million. Now it's eclipsed that and to infinity and beyond. I'm gonna say about 24-25 million a year is gonna be the average for Deebo Samuel, and they expect the cap to keep growing, man. Like there's no end in sight here. I'm gonna say $24-25 million. It sounds like a lot for a running back. That'll make him in the top 5, not number 1. I think that would have him fall at like number 4, if I'm not mistaken. $24-25 million a year. That'll bring him in around 24. So I mean, number 4, number 3, no, number 4. So I think that's fair. If you lined up all these wide receivers, I mean, you play fantasy just like I do. Mm-hmm. Deebo's going to be one of the first 5 wide receivers picked in fantasy football. I know you shouldn't be basing contracts off of fantasy football, but my point is that everybody wants a Deebo on their team. That's my point. So I think he wants money like that. I'd say 24, 25 million a year is going to be the average.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could totally see it. It's going to be a pretty pricey extension for the 49ers, but I honestly don't think they can afford to lose him. Look at the past season. I mean, they wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as far as they got without Deebo Samuel. So they need this guy in order to win games moving forward.
And you look at the George Kittle thing, right? When George Kittle was going for his new contract, the highest paid tight end at the time was $10 million. That was the highest paid tight end. Highest paid wide receiver at that time was $24.9 million. Okay, we're talking a $15 million difference between tight end and wide receiver, right? The 49ers liked George Kittle so much, they completely upended the tight end market and gave him 50% more a year than the highest paid at his position and gave him $15 million, right? There was an argument at the time that George Kittle was the best tight end in the NFL. I think people have backed off of that. They still got him in the top 3, but I think they backed off of that. I don't think there's anybody, not one 49er fan, not anybody out there that will say Deebo is the number 1 wide receiver. I don't think there's anybody out there that would say that. And so with that being said, he's going to fall in the scale. He's going to become a part of the scale, not adjusting the scale. That's just the way it is.
Addressing this comment, Snapper Luciano, he's Mike. How is Deebo not the best receiver on the team? He's the heart and soul. I think he said not the best receiver in the NFL, right? You didn't say he was the best on the team.
No. I don't think Deebo's the best wide receiver on the team.
Oh, okay. You did. I'm mistaken.
No.
So I take Brandon Ayuk over that?
Brandon Ayuk is the better wide receiver. I'm talking about pure wide route running, willingness as a blocker at the wide receiver position, hands. I'm taking Brandon Ayuk over Deebo Samuel. If I got to make these guys run 10 routes or whatever, Brandon Ayuk is going to be where he's supposed to be and more likely to make the catch than Deebo is. People forget that Deebo led the team in drops for however many years consecutively. You know, they see the stats and they see the numbers and the touchdowns and all that. Don't confuse the targets and all that stuff. Look at the percentages. You don't have to take my word for it. The numbers are out there. Go out there and look at it. Brandon Ayuk is the best wide receiver on the team. I'm not saying that I would take Brandon Ayuk over Deebo. Deebo's a better weapon. Yeah. Listen to what I'm saying, for real. Deebo's a better weapon because you can do more things. He's more versatile, right? But as far as being a wide receiver and what the wide receiver's duties are, it's Brandon Ayuk, and it's far and away. Like, Brandon Ayuk is clearly wide receiver 1 on the 49ers. Not production-wise, because he doesn't get the targets. He was in the doghouse for half the year, and he finished with the same exact amount of touchdowns receiving as Deebo Samuel did. What does that tell you?
Yep. That's a good point. Yeah. I think you have a good argument that Deebo is overall the better player, but if we're talking strictly wide receiver, what you can do from the wide receiver position, running routes, I would give Brandon Ayuk the nod as well. And they're going to be at a pretty confusing standpoint in a couple of years where do you also pay Brandon Ayuk after you just paid Deebo Samuel a good amount of money? Sticking on the contracts, though, what do you think, Nick Bosa? How do you envision that turning out? Obviously, I don't think they can afford to lose him either, but that's 2 giant contracts in back-to-back seasons. Obviously, they could take advantage of the 5th-year contract because Nick Bosa was a first-round pick. How do you envision that playing out?
Unfortunately, this is where things get rough. Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid edge player in the NFL. I think that a guy coming off of the injury that he came off of and having 17 sacks or whatever his final number ended up being during the regular season, not counting what he did in the postseason, and not having anybody on the opposite side of him consistently all year. That was just Nick Bosa being Nick Bosa. By the way, how does this guy not get a single comeback player of the year vote? Like, just throw that whole category away if that's how people are going to think. But let me get back to it. I'm sorry. Nick Bosa is the best defensive player on the 49ers roster. And that's coming from a guy who loves Jimmy Ward. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's coming from a guy who loves Fred Warner. Nick Bosa is the best player on the 49ers defense, period. He's worthy of – I'd pay him $30 million a year. I would pay Nick Bosa 30. I don't know if you're on a computer over there. I don't know if you can look it up. I have no idea what the highest paid defensive end or outside linebacker, pass rusher is what they're called. I have no idea what the highest paid pass rusher is. I'm sure it's close to that 30 million mark. I would pay that to Nick Bosa. He is a game changer. He's that guy.
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt.
28 million a year, 112 total, 80 mil guaranteed.
Yeah. And give me Nick Bosa 5 times a week. Not 7. I said 5. Because there's some times where TJ Watt is a little crazy. But for the most part, Nick Bosa's taking on double teams and still being very effective. Give me Nick Bosa over TJ Watt. And that could be a little bit of the 49ers bias in me. I'm giving them $30 million. And plus, it's not about when you get paid. I mean, it's not about who gets paid. It's about when you get paid. Yep. The one guy, the next guy is going to make a little bit more if he's on the same level as you. That's just the way it works. So give me Nick Bosa. Give me $30 million a year. Let's reset the market and let's keep it moving. Nick Bosa deserves it.
I like it. Yep. Shulo, this was the second question. I forgot it. My bad. If Deebo gets $20 million a year, will Brandon Ayuk ever get to that pay status?
Not on this team. I think once Deebo gets that money, that is signing the end of Brandon Ayuk, which I think has something to do with him being in the doghouse. I think that a little bit of that was fabricated. If you go back and look at the numbers, you can't look at it and find a game where he was in the doghouse, just so you guys know. It's like a thing, like, oh, the first half of the season, he was in the doghouse. Go back and look when he didn't have 5+ receptions a game. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, we say it because that's how it felt during games. But if you go back and actually look, it wasn't really as bad as we say it is.
So since you brought it up, it doesn't seem like you have any belief in that kind of rumor that, from what I kind of get from social media, there's this belief that maybe guys like Trey Sermon and Brandon Ayuk went to bat for Trey Lance being the starter. And when it was announced that Jimmy was going to be the starter, there might have been a little disagreement between Kyle Shanahan and aforementioned players, Brandon Ayuk, Trey Sermon. Do you buy this at all?
No. I know they say that's why he ended up in the doghouse, but I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. Position coaches don't control and don't tell Kyle who to play. You know what I mean? Like, Kyle says that in game situations, I expect every wide receiver lined up anywhere to be able to run whatever route. So I don't always know who's out there. We did hear Kyle say that. But we know for a fact that no one is telling Kyle what he has to do in any given situation. So yeah, I'm not buying that 2 random ass players walked in and said, "Hey, put this guy in," or we want to see that. No. Who the hell are you? Get out of my office. I'm sorry. Like, you guys don't have that kind of power. It's not happening.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of an interesting situation because, like you said, statistically, there wasn't really much of a doghouse for Brandon Ayuk, but there was a weird feeling. And I mean, they kind of acknowledged it themselves. And Brandon Ayuk, I don't know if you remember, Mike said, like, oh, well, we had words for each other, I believe was the term that Brandon Ayuk used when talking about whatever he had out with Kyle Shanahan. Who knows what happened? Stud says, I don't usually agree with Mike, but today we were on the same page. Mike Fernando says, Mike, do you think Jimmy gets cut?
No, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo gets cut. It's not impossible. But I do think that once training camp gets here, some injuries start to settle in, I will say this. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is more likely to get restructured than to get cut. I hope that either way the cap savings are coming. Because once he's presented with, hey, we'll cut you and you get nothing, because we can go all the way up to week 1. We can get to week 2. He can be on the roster for that one game. The only thing that's guaranteed is that one game. Take that 27.5 and divide it by 17. That's all he's getting. We cut him right after that. He's not getting shit for the rest of the season. Right? So you tell him, hey, we'll renegotiate your contract. We'll bring you in as a backup. You'll make $13 million this year. What do you think? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's more likely to happen than him actually just getting cut. Between injuries happening in the training camp and preseason, I think Jimmy ends up on another team. But worst case scenario is he's the best backup in the league and he's on this roster.
Okay, I like that. It's interesting. I haven't actually heard that kind of take come yet from anyone else on Twitter, at least. I think my point of view is that it is damaging to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on this roster next season because of what it signals, maybe in their belief in Trey Lance, and also players that do have a personal relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo might feel like he should be the one starting. And I'm not sure if you can move forward with Trey Lance as your starter and keep Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup. perhaps they can, but I don't know.
You know, I like what you're saying about, not knowing. I really like that. Like, what are the players going to say and all that shit, right? But the truth of the matter is, Zach, like when it comes down to it, like the players, they can and will really like Jimmy Garoppolo. Like you can't play with somebody this long and not care about the man, not care about the person. Once the team says this guy is out, that's it. The team, the front office, the coaching staff have to be definitive. Make it very clear this is not a competition, so don't get your hopes up. We're not looking to see which guy does X better. We are going with this guy. Once they say that, the team will rally and accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I sat with my wife. Hopefully none of my daughters are watching this right now because they do go back and watch this. And I say, hey, do you have a favorite child? She's like, no, I don't. I love all my kids the same. And I said, hey, yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm the same parent that you are. We both got 4 kids. And I can tell you that I fuck with certain kids better than I fuck with some of them in certain situations, right? If I'm out in a social setting and I'm having a party, I want Aria. That's my middle daughter. She is the life of the party no matter where she goes. She's got all the personality, boom, boom, boom. If I'm going out somewhere and I need someone to be quiet or to follow the rules, I want Zara. Like, if I'm going out somewhere and I need somebody to do some heavy lifting with me, I want Derek. Like, all my kids do something different very well. But once I know this is who I have with me, I'm going to ride with it. I love them all. And I'd kill for any of them. I'd die for any of them. None of that changes. But in certain situations, I like certain ones more. But if you tell me that they're not an option, it's okay. I still love them. We're going to rock. Let's do this thing. And I'm going to support them the same way. If they all have to do the same task, I'm going to support them the same way. That's how this thing is. That's their baby. The 49ers baby is Trey Lance. The 49ers baby is Jimmy Garoppolo. We are making him who he is. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make Trey Lance who he is. That's our baby. We have to go out here and support this guy. Come on, guys. We're going to rally around him. Yeah, well, Jimmy can get rid of the ball. His release, his throwing motion's a little – it doesn't matter. Trey Lance can run better. Trey Lance can throw further. Yeah, like, that's what it's going to be pros and cons for each one of these guys. Same thing with the kids. You don't love them or hate them. You love all of them, and you deal with what you got to deal with. And that's what the 49ers are going to do, as long as the front office and the coaching staff are definitive in their answer. Trey Lance is the guy going forward. You won't have to deal with anything else.
So our guy Stuart says, what happens if Trey struggles then, Mike? Do you believe the pressure of having a known commodity on the bench will cause division in the locker room, on staff, fan pressure in the stadium?
No. Let me ask you this. If Trey Lance comes out and throws an interception on his first throw of the game, are you going to automatically say, oh, Jimmy won't do that, bring him back? I've watched Jimmy games for the last 2 seasons, and I wince every time he holds the ball for more than 2.5 seconds. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating at all. If he drops back and hits the final drop in his step and hitches or moves somewhere else, I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. What's he going to do? Oh, my God, is it going to be a pick? Watch out for the linebackers, Jimmy. Every single there is nothing that Trey Lance can do that I'm going to sit there and just be like, Jimmy wouldn't have done that. No, I've watched Jimmy long enough to know that it's a 50-50. Once Jimmy drops back and it's not a pre-designed play, it's anybody's ball. It's anybody's ball. So you have to know the guy. Trey Lance is not coming in here trying to replace Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees. You know what I'm saying? He's not replacing Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. It's Jimmy Garoppolo, guys. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is just as likely to march down the field with 2 minutes on the clock, down by 4, and lead a touchdown drive as he is to throw an interception in the same situation. And neither one of the results would surprise you. No. Neither one would surprise you. If Peyton Manning got the ball back with 38 seconds and they're down by 4, you think, oh, shit, they're about to win this game. You left too much time on the clock for Peyton Manning. Jimmy has never made anybody feel that way. Never. He's not that guy. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, guys. I'm okay to go with these bumps and lumps with Trey Lance because he's the first-year guy. He's going to be a second-year guy now. You know what I'm saying? But, like, he's a new guy on the block. Watching a 8-year veteran make those same mistakes drives me crazy. I'm okay with the mistakes as long as it's from somebody who doesn't know any better. Jimmy, you should freaking know better. How many times are you going to throw the ball to the linebacker? How many times he throw the ball to Kendricks in that Vikings game before Kendricks actually held on to one? You understand what I'm saying? That was the third opportunity he gave to Kendricks to hold on to that ball before he finally caught it. You can't keep making the same mistake and expecting me to be like, oh, everything's okay. No, stop throwing to the fucking linebacker, Jimmy. He's been there all night long. You keep giving him the ball. If Trey does it on his first try, let's see if he makes that same mistake again. That's what I want. That's different. Now I want to know if he's going to learn from his mistakes. Jimmy doesn't learn from mistakes. They're going to happen. Jimmy's mistakes are inevitable. Are Trey's. I haven't seen Trey make the same mistake twice, a single time, except for leading with his head when he goes to slide. That's some dumb. I don't know why. That's the only mistake I've seen this kid make over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's it. Other than that, I have not seen Trey Lance make the same mistake on the field twice. Mm-hmm. In college or in the pro level. I haven't seen him make the same mistake twice. I like that. That is potential. That is dangerous. Jimmy, I can't say the same thing for. So, no, there's never a time where I'm going to be like, oh, well, Jimmy's on the roster, put him in. But Mike's never going to say that. Sorry.
Fernando asks, Zach, do you agree with Jesse and Mo that Jimmy ain't getting another $25 million contract? Hell no, he's not getting another $25 million contract. I think, in my opinion, the most he's going to get is 1 to 2 year contracts moving forward, essentially a bridge quarterback, perhaps compete to start. I don't see any team coming out and giving him that type of money for a long-term solution at the quarterback position. Mike, maybe you have a different answer, but I doubt you do.
No, Jimmy Garoppolo is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. He can go into your team. He's going to win you 2 or 3 games out of the first 3, and you're going to be very impressed. Oh, that guy should be the starter. That guy should be the starter. As soon as he's named the starter, you're going to be like, damn, what were we doing? This guy is meant to be a backup. No, because the league is caught up to Jimmy Garoppolo's pros and cons. Now, here's something else that I'm anxious about. I really want Jimmy to go to another team. I'm going to tell you why. Jimmy has said something earlier in the season where he was like, they were like, Jimmy, we know that you don't throw outside the numbers. You don't throw downfield a lot. A lot of fans think that you can't do that. How do you feel? And he said, I only execute the plays that are called.
Yeah.
He threw it on Kyle.
Yep.
He blamed somebody else for that shit. Bro, I've been watching you for 3.5 years, and that's someone else's fault. And maybe he's right. Now I got to see it with my own eyes. Now I got to see him in another system where they're calling downfield shots. God, I wish Sean Payton didn't retire. You know what I'm saying? Send his ass to the sink so I can see him with Sean Payton and his team. But we don't have that opportunity right now because I want to see it. I want to see Jimmy go somewhere else just so I know. Was Jimmy telling the truth or was he just playing semantics, man? I want to see how it plays out. I do.
Also, it's very well known, Kyle Shanahan tailors whatever. I mean, as any play caller does, tailors a playbook to what your quarterback can do. Do you think he would be calling deep downfield shots, Jimmy, if he felt like you could not hit them? No, he would call short underneath passes 2 to 3 yards within the line of scrimmage, basically handoff pitches. That's what he does because that's what he feels like you can do. And also, the times you do throw deep, it's almost always intercepted. I could think of maybe 2 to 3 that actually did land. The 2 3rd and 15 plays 3 years ago against the Rams. This season in Chicago, get Deebo Samuel. He's not accurate when he pushes the ball down the field.
That 4th and 2 against the Ravens.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah.
And by the way, that was Deebo just being physical as hell at the point of attack, by the way. Yeah. That was a 50-50 ball, and Deebo just bodied that to me. So,
this I agree with. Us fans need to stop holding Trey to the same standard as Jimmy. Do you expect the same from your 5-year-old kid as you do from your 13-year-old? Exactly. They are not in the same point in their career. We cannot expect the same out of Trey that we do from Jimmy. It's just illogical to think that. So, great point. Well said.
And that's why I'm willing to accept mistakes from Trey that I'm not willing to accept from Jimmy. That's exactly why. Well said. Hung fat. I mean, my wife calls me that too, but oh shit, I'm sorry. That I shouldn't have said that. My bad.
Ben says Trey should be able to handle the pressure of Jimmy behind him. I mean, yeah, I don't see why not. It's not much pressure.
Let me ask you a question. Who's more confident, right? You, Zach, are here and you have your job, and I hire somebody with the same exact title as you, but I pay a lot more, and you know it, to get that guy. Which one of us is more nervous?
I guess me, right? I mean,
yeah, because you know I'm behind you and getting paid more. Like they spent more to get me.
Yep.
They went out and sought me. They headhunted me. You know I'm here to replace you. Hey, go ahead, keep cooking, old man. I got your back. What you need? Want me to go get your coffee? I got decaf. 3 creams, 2 sugars. Hey, I got you. You go ahead. You go do that. You know your days are numbered from the moment I'm brought in. There's no pressure on Trey Lance. Trey Lance don't have to look over his shoulder at Jimmy Garoppolo. He knows, hey, Jimmy, you want to play another year? My contract is guaranteed because I'm on that rookie wage scale. It's 100% guaranteed. You go, hey, do what you want. You want 3 years, Jimmy? Go ahead. Cool. Go ahead. Oh, coach, you only play in year 2? Hey, Jimmy, sorry, man. You got to go. It's my time now. There's no pressure on Trey Lance. This guy is sitting around chilling, bro. There's no pressure on Trey Lance. There's nothing for him to look over his shoulder for. There's nothing Jimmy can do that's going to make the 49ers think, hey, we should keep sticking with Jimmy and maybe move on from Trey. There's nothing Jimmy can do. Jimmy could have won the Super Bowl this year. The Niners still would have been like, hey, is Trey ready? Yeah? He is? Okay, let's go with Trey. Yep. There's nothing Jimmy could have done this year to change the way the Niners look at the situation. Nothing.
Yep, it's a really good point. Fernando, I'm going to get to the question from Stuart, and then we'll start to wrap things up. Fernando says, I agree with Mike. Jimmy never gets better, and he's been in the league for 8 years. Mike, from the day Jimmy arrived here in that first game, I believe the first start he had was in Chicago. Has he gotten better since that day?
No. And this pains me to say, Jimmy Garoppolo has been the same player since day one. The problem is that it was so good and unexpected from the opposing defenses that it looked more impressive. He's been the same player, though. He hasn't progressed in his quarterback journey. He hasn't gotten better at reading defenses. He hasn't gotten better with the decision-making. And part of that, again, this is why I said I want to see him in another system, right? There's a difference between calling a play and him knowing where X, Y, and Z are going to be versus calling a play and knowing he has to go to this guy or the check down. I want to see him in a different system to see if Kyle was holding him back. And there is a possibility. It's slim, but there's a possibility that that was what was going on. Kyle Shanahan looks to me like the controlling-ass head coach and play caller. He looks like that to me. When Kyle Shanahan stands on the sideline and pulls a ref before a play and says, hey, when I call this play, watch my tight end get held. 5 yards in, they're going to start holding this guy. He did this on a mic'd up segment. And sure enough, 6 yards in, they held George Kittle, and that same official he talked to threw the flag. This guy thinks this is fucking Madden. He's taking the human aspect of the game out, which means that Kyle does think that he can control every aspect of all 22, not just the 11 on his side. He thinks that he can control the reactions of the other 11 also, right? Maybe there is this overbearing Kyle Shanahan aura in the building. Maybe that's a real thing. I have to see Jimmy go somewhere else to make me believe that, though. Because as far as I see it, the way I'm looking at it right now, Kyle's just covering up your flaws and trying to protect you from the outside. That's the way I'm looking at it right now. Jimmy has the opportunity to show us different. And I'll be the first one to say, yo, guys, hey, it's Kyle. It's Kyle. I'll be the first one to say that shit. As soon as I see that Jimmy's doing better and, oh, shit, he can actually read a defense, let him just call a play and make a decision, I'll be the first one to say Kyle's too overbearing. Kyle's got to step back a little bit. Maybe Kyle should get an offensive coordinator. Yeah. But until I see that, I'm sticking with my guns, man. It's Jimmy. It's Jimmy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And if anything, Kyle's propped him up and made him look. And to our defense, it seems like all the other 31 teams feel that way as well because they're not comfortable trading what the Niners are asking to get Jimmy. And they're saying maybe if it's a package deal and Kyle comes with, but no, we're not just giving that up for Jimmy by himself.
Right.
All right. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. If not, we're going to be wrapping things up here soon. I've already taken up way too much of Mike's time. We're going over an hour here.
You're good, bro.
Appreciate it. Stuart, Mike, do you believe Azeez or Greenlaw gets traded mid-season? Both need contract extensions next offseason.
This is tough for me. I really like both of these linebackers, and I have a hard time figuring out which one I like more individually, right? Greenlaw has a better effect on the overall defense because for whatever uncanny reason, when Greenlaw is on the field, Fred Warner plays significantly better. He's more aggressive. He hits harder. He's more decisive when Greenlaw is on the field. When it's Fred Warner and Azeez, there's a little bit of hesitation. I don't know if he feels like he has to cover for Azeez a little bit, if he has to kind of pick up some slack or something like that. I like what Dre Greenlaw brings to the table for Fred Warner and the rest of the defense. But I'll be honest with you guys, I like the play of Aziz a lot more than the play of Dre Greenlaw. It's kind of crazy, right? You can't go wrong with either. If I'm the Niners, I'll be completely honest with you, man. I try to keep all three of them together. These are our guys. It's been so long since we can say we don't need outside help. The reason why I'm not in on a guy like Bobby Wagner is because I like the two guys that we have out there other than him. I don't think the Niners need a Bobby Wagner. I trust Dre Greenlaw in coverage way more than I trust Bobby Wagner. Why would I make that trade? And Aziz plays just as physical as Bobby Wagner does now, not Bobby Wagner in his prime. Don't rewind and show me film for 3 or 4 years ago. Bobby Wagner now and what I saw last year versus Dre Greenlaw or Aziz Al-Shaair, I think we're okay. The give and take is not enough for us to say, let's go get Greenlaw and pay him that exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I said this during the year, maybe towards the end of the season, if I remember correctly, that I think I would move forward with Aziz and trade Greenlaw if they had to pick between the two. A lot of fans actually were kind of upset with my take, but I think that Aziz, he's likely going to be cheaper. And I think what we saw from Aziz this season, I've never seen from Dre Greenlaw. I've never seen Dre Greenlaw overtake the game and affect it. I mean, there were games where Aziz had a forced fumble, a sack, an interception, like that. All of these things, he was just stuffing the stat sheet. And I've never seen that from Dre Greenlaw. And he affects the game, don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of 49ers fans are still kind of hung up on that 2019 tackle in Seattle to get the 49ers number 1 seed when they think of a guy like Dre Greenlaw. So I'm moving forward with Aziz, but I understand why it's kind of a complicated question because they both are valuable to this defense. With that all said, I think we're going to wrap this show up, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Mike, got any final words here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Every show we end with final thoughts. We try to leave the faithful with some words of encouragement, going forward and what part of the year we're into. I want to say this, guys, be patient. I know that we haven't signed any really, really big names, and some people are scratching their heads on the Javarius Ward signing and things like that, right? This 49ers team has consistently, when their starter is in for 15 or more games, not only made it to the playoffs, made it deep into the playoffs. We have no reason to not trust them now, right? Just keep that in mind, all right? I know how long John and Kyle have been here, but look at what happened when they had their quarterback. It's time for a change of guard. Trey Lance is the guy at the helm right now. They have handpicked this guy. They traded all the way up to number 3. There was nothing stopping them from trading the 2 or even the 1 if they wanted Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. I have 100% faith that they picked the guy that they want. And they didn't rush this guy to get in there. They didn't let him get beat up. We saw what happened to David Carr, not Derek. We saw what happened to David Carr in New York, right? You put him in there. He wasn't ready. He got beat up because they had a bad offensive line. He was shell-shocked, and you wasted a first-round pick. They let this guy sit. They let him learn. They groomed him to be the guy they want him to be. And we saw Trey Lance's confidence and his play improve down after down after down after down. All right? Be patient, be understanding, and let's get ready to rock, man. The season, we got a long way to go, guys. We have a very, very long way to go. So don't rush anything. You can't win a Super Bowl in the offseason. You can't win a Super Bowl in the preseason, and you can't win a Super Bowl in week 1. All right, so be patient, guys. We got a long haul ahead of us. We're going to be here. Shows like 49ers Hive and Nothing But Niners, we are going to be here every step of the way. Make sure you guys are locked in, subscribe, turn on those notifications. All right, we're going to be here. So if you're not already subscribed, do it because you're only doing yourself a disservice. I promise.
Man, beautifully said. I got nothing else to add to that. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate you for coming on the show. You guys, I'm sure you're already subscribed to Nothing But Niners. Go over there if you're not for some reason. Hit subscribe. Check out Mike's content. They do shows like every hour of every day. It's insane. You can't keep up with these guys. Make sure you go give them some love. Follow them on Twitter. Mike's handle on Twitter is on the screen, as is mine. Hit like, subscribe. We're reach 2,000 subscribers here. We're giving away 49ers jersey. We're like 40 away, so it'll probably happen pretty soon. So hit subscribe. Help us get there. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. We will be live next week, probably Sunday around the same time. So make sure you guys join us then. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great rest of your Sunday.